Okay, so here's the word so far. The pre-image is the before, the image is the after. In a translation, the pre-image and the image, so we talked about it's like the same shape, just moving around, right? So they are congruent. They are the same. Congruent, equal, the same. Those all, are similar words. The corresponding angles. So like if you have a triangle, triangles have 3 angles. So if like the angles that correspond, so angle A, if it's triangle ABC, angle A to the image shape, or it's called A prime, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, they are going to be the same. So corresponding angles have the same measurement, and corresponding sides are literally the exact same. They're all the same, okay? You're just taking the exact same shape and you are moving it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this shape down here. We're going to translate it 2 different times. That's why you have 2 different colors. So your first, it's already drawn for you, and then when we draw the second one, is we're going to use 2, it says colored pencils, but you can use a pen, a marker, whatever. So we need to write this pre-image down. So I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to actually pause the screen because I want you, we plotted points yesterday. So I want you to take these points, identify them, and write them up here real quick. Okay, so these are these 3 points. That's my A, my B, my C. And then maybe you are noticing this, maybe not, but I want to point this out, so make sure you notice it. See this little apostrophe here? A prime, B prime, and C prime. So what's happening here is you are taking the shape, moving it this much. So you're taking the x value, you're adding 5 to it. You're taking the y value, and you're adding 2 to it. And you are then getting A prime, B prime, and C prime. And you're probably like, what the heck does that mean, A prime? That's just what it's called. So that is the image, all right? The pre-image is the before, the image is the after. And then what is happening, you're adding 5 to the x value. So what does that look like? So -8, and I didn't have you guys get calculators today, but if you struggle with like adding integers, if you're not using the graph, that can be a little bit of a struggle. You can use a calculator, but we could just like use the graph and look at that. So what does it look like to add 5 to the x value? So if A starts here, think about it like left and right. So if I'm going to the right, it's becoming more positive because it's positive over here, negative over here, positive up here, negative down here. You guys see that? So we are going to the left 5. And so that goes from -8 to -3. We're not going to mark that just yet. We're just going to write it. So I'm going to write -3 here. And then we're going to add 2. So if we go over 5 up 2, it will go from 8 to 10. So you kind of see how you can do it one of 2 ways. You either just add 5 to the x value and add to the y value, or you could count to the right and up because it's positive, positive. If it's ever negative, so left is negative for the x value, down is negative for the y value. All right, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. My b prime would be going from here, so -8, 3, but I'm going to add 5 to -8. Well, it's the same thing as here, so that becomes -3 because those are the same 2 numbers. And then for 3, if I add 2 to 3, 3 plus 2 is 5. And then c is -4, 3, so we want to add 5 to -4, so that actually becomes a positive 1. If you're having trouble adding those numbers together, you can literally count this starting here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you put a point there. Well, don't put a point there because it's going to move again, so I shouldn't have done that. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 2, so that would be your new C. So 3 plus 2 is 5. All right, we're going to now plot those 3 points. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 2, and there's my new A prime. And I'm going to do this one in purple, and then I'm going to pick a different color when I do the last one. Over 5, up 2, that's A prime. So that is at -3, 10. And then -3, 5 would be moving B 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 2. So that is now my B prime. And then my C prime, it's over 5, up 2. See, I should not have made that point there, but I messed up. It's okay. C prime, and then I'm going to use my ID and connect the dots. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, in words, describe the translation. So what is happening here? Well, from here to here, and we kind of already talked about this, the left, the right, the up, the down. So we are just going to write, for the x value, you're either going to write left or right. So if it is positive, it's going to the right, positive over here. So for this first one, you only can choose left or right. So we are going right 5, and we are going, so that's for the x value, and then we're going up 2, and that is for the y value. So right 5, up 2. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take this right here, this image, and we are then going to translate it one more time. So this is going to go from my purple one, or whatever color you have, to the new one. So we're going to take these points, and we're going to add 8 to it, and subtract y, or 8, add 8 to the x, subtract 8 from the y. And you are going to draw this on your paper. So I'm going to pause my screen, and you are going to work on this. Okay, so these are the answers. This is what I have for my picture. So notice it is literally the exact same shape. Like B and C are 4 apart, but they just move down, to the right 8 and down 8. And we've said this in words, so we can just write it out. Right 8, down 8. And then all right, so using 2 different colored pencils, graph the new images, make sure that to label both figures. We've done that. So this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. So this question right here is kind of thinking outside the box a little bit. So if you have this first quadrant, or this first picture, it's in quadrant 2. It's saying what rule could be used to translate it so it would be in quadrant 3 down here. Okay, so like, does anything need to happen to the x values? Like, does it need to move to the right or left to be in quadrant 3 at all? No, like, you can do nothing to the x value. So we could literally just write x for that. Because see how these are written? So we're going to write it this way. So this is x plus 8, but we don't have to change it. We could just write x. But it does need to move down, right? So if I just moved it down 3 units, that wouldn't put it in quadrant 3, right? You want the whole shape to be in quadrant 3. If I moved it down 3 units, it would still be in quadrant 2, so that does not help us. So there's not just one correct answer for this. You kind of can, make it however you want. But if you want B, or I would actually do A, to put A all the way down into quadrant 2 or 3, you'd have to go like 9 or 10 units. But we could just say 10. So Y, move A down 10, B down 10, and C down 10, and that whole shape would end up in quadrant 3.